I clutched the small piece of paper in my trembling hand, reading it again for the third time. The words were simple, written in hurried blue ink. Mrs. Fletcher, your granddaughter is not who she seems. Check your safe deposit box. A friend. My heart hammered in my chest as I glanced toward the kitchen, where Madison was humming cheerfully while making my morning tea. The note had been slipped under my bedroom door sometime during the night. I'd found it when I got up for water at 3 in the morning. At first, I thought it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. After all, I was 67 years old and had just recovered from a minor stroke 3 months ago. The doctors said I was fine, my mind sharp as ever, but doubt had a way of creeping in lately, especially when Madison kept suggesting otherwise. My granddaughter had moved in 2 weeks after I came home from the hospital. She'd appeared at my doorstep with 2 suitcases and that beautiful, concerned smile of hers. "Grandma Eleanor, you can't be alone right now. Let me take care of you." At the time, it seemed like a blessing. Her mother, my daughter Jennifer, lived in Seattle, too far away to help regularly. Madison was studying at the community college nearby and said she could easily manage both school and caring for me. I was grateful. Truly, I was. But things had started feeling off about a week ago. "Grandma?" Madison's voice called from the kitchen. "Your tea is ready." I quickly folded the note and tucked it into my robe pocket. My hands were still shaking as I walked into the kitchen. Madison stood by the counter, that same sweet smile on her face, her blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked so much like Jennifer at that age. "Here you go," she said, sliding the teacup across the kitchen table. "I added extra honey, just how you like it." "Thank you, dear." I sat down slowly, watching her face. Was I imagining things? The note said to check my safe deposit box. But why? I hadn't been to the bank in months. Madison had been handling all my errands since the stroke, insisting I needed rest. So, Grandma, I was thinking. Madison sat down across from me, her phone in her hand. "Remember how we talked about simplifying your accounts? I made an appointment with your bank for today. Mr. Henderson said he could meet with us at 2 o'clock. "Mr. Henderson?" I blinked. "I don't know any Mr. Henderson at my bank." Madison laughed softly. "Yes, you do, Grandma. He's the manager. You met him last month when we went to update your address." "I never went to the bank last month." Her smile faltered just slightly. "Yes, you did. Remember? You were having one of your foggy days." There it was again. Foggy days. That's what she'd started calling them. Anytime I questioned something or didn't remember an event she claimed happened, she'd pat my hand and say I was having a foggy day. But I kept detailed journals. I always had, even before the stroke. And there was no entry about visiting any bank or meeting any Mr. Henderson. "I think I'd remember going to the bank," I said carefully. Madison's expression shifted to something that looked like pity. "Grandma, this is exactly what the doctor warned us about. The stroke affected your short-term memory. That's why I'm here, to help you." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Please don't stress about it. I'm handling everything." My stomach twisted. The note burned in my pocket. "Actually, I'm not feeling well. Can we cancel the appointment?" "Oh, Grandma, we really shouldn't. It's important. Mr. Henderson specifically made time for us." She pulled out her phone and started typing. "I'll text Chase to drive us. He's better at navigating downtown traffic anyway." Chase, her boyfriend. He'd been coming around a lot lately, always offering to help with things I didn't need help with, always watching me with those calculating eyes. "Madison, I really don't feel up to it." Her jaw tightened, just for a moment. Then the smile returned. "Okay, Grandma, whatever you think is best. I'll reschedule." She stood up and kissed the top of my head. "I need to run to class now. Chase will be here in about an hour to check on you. Will you be okay?" "I'll be fine." After she left, I sat in silence, staring at my untouched tea. Something was very wrong. The note said to check my safe deposit box, But how could I do that without Madison finding out? She monitored everything, always under the guise of helping me. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts, stopping at a name I hadn't called in months. Patricia Chen, my former colleague from 30 years of teaching at Roosevelt Elementary. We'd been close once, but I'd lost touch with most of my friends after the stroke. Or had I? Actually, I realized with growing horror, I hadn't lost touch. They'd stopped coming around because Madison always made excuses when they called. Grandma's resting. Grandma's not feeling well. Grandma's having a difficult day. She'd isolated me. My hands shook as I dialed Patricia's number. Eleanor? Eleanor Fletcher? Oh my God, I thought you'd forgotten about me. Patricia's warm voice flooded through the phone. Patricia, I need your help. Can you come over? It's urgent. But please, don't call the house first. And don't tell anyone. There was a pause. Eleanor, what's going on? Are you okay? I don't know. That's what I need to find out. Patricia arrived 45 minutes later, just before Chase was due to show up. I met her at the door, finger to my lips. We went straight to my bedroom, and I locked the door. Eleanor, you're scaring me, Patricia said, her brown eyes full of concern. What's happening? I showed her the note. Then I showed her my journals. Then I told her everything about the foggy days, about Madison handling all my affairs, about feeling trapped in my own home. Patricia's face grew darker with each detail. Eleanor, this sounds like financial exploitation. Have you checked your accounts? Madison has all my passwords. She said it was easier if she could manage everything online. That's a huge red flag. Patricia pulled out her own phone. We need to get to your bank right now. Do you remember where you keep your safe deposit key? I did. It was in a fake book on my bookshelf. One Madison wouldn't think to check because she never read. We found it exactly where I'd left it. Here's what we're going to do, Patricia said. I'm going to tell anyone who asks that I'm taking you to a doctor's appointment. My car is parked down the street. Can you walk that far? I nodded. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of my old self returning. I wasn't some helpless old woman. I was Eleanor Fletcher, and I'd spent 40 years teaching middle schoolers. I could handle one manipulative granddaughter. We made it to Patricia's car just as Chase's truck turned onto my street. I ducked down in the passenger seat, my heart pounding. At the bank, I asked to see the manager. Not Mr. Henderson, whoever that was, but Mrs. Sarah Martinez, who'd been managing my accounts for 15 years. Mrs. Fletcher! Sarah's face lit up when she saw me. It's been so long. How are you feeling? I need to access my safe deposit box, Sarah. And I need to review my account activity for the last 3 months. All of it. Sarah's smile faded when she saw my expression. Of course. Let me pull up your accounts. What I saw on that computer screen made my blood run cold. $50,000 had been transferred out of my savings account over the past 6 weeks. Small amounts at first, then increasingly larger sums. The transfers were going to an account I didn't recognize. I didn't authorize any of these, I said, my voice shaking. But you did, Mrs. Fletcher. We have the signed authorization forms right here. Sarah pulled up digital copies. There was my signature, clear as day, on forms authorizing Madison Fletcher as a joint account holder and giving her full access to all my accounts. I never signed these. Sarah looked uncomfortable. Mrs. Fletcher, you came in with your granddaughter 6 weeks ago. You seemed a bit confused, but you signed everything in front of 2 witnesses. That's impossible. I never came to the bank 6 weeks ago. Patricia leaned forward. Sarah, I've known Eleanor for 30 years. If she says she didn't sign those documents, she didn't sign them. Can you tell us who the witnesses were? Sarah checked her records. A Mr. Chase Brennan and another bank employee I don't recognize. Let me check. She made a phone call, then turned back to us, her face pale. Mrs. Fletcher, I think we have a serious problem. The employee listed as a witness doesn't exist in our system. I want to see the security footage from that day, I said. It took 20 minutes to pull up the video, but when Sarah played it, There I was, walking into the bank with Madison and Chase, except something was wrong. The woman in the video moved differently than I did. She wore a hat and sunglasses, and when she signed the documents, she used her left hand. I'm right-handed. I've always been right-handed. That's not me, I said quietly. That's not me. Patricia grabbed my hand. Sarah, we need to call the police. Right now. But I held up my hand. Wait. Not yet. First, I need to see what's in my safe deposit box. The box was in a private viewing room. My hands trembled as I unlocked it. Inside, I found what I expected. My important documents, my jewelry, the deed to my house. But there was also something I didn't expect. A new envelope, sealed and addressed to me in my own handwriting. Except it wasn't my handwriting. It was close, very close, but the loops were wrong. Inside the envelope was a notarized document dated 2 weeks ago. A power of attorney granting Madison complete control over all my financial and medical decisions. A will, leaving everything to Madison. And a letter, supposedly from me, stating that I was experiencing severe cognitive decline and requested my granddaughter take over my affairs. I'd never written any of it. They were going to have me declared incompetent, I said slowly, the pieces falling into place. Madison's been setting this up for months. The foggy days, the isolation from my friends, controlling all my errands, the fake documents. She was building a case that I couldn't manage my own affairs. Patricia's face was furious, and once you signed over power of attorney, she'd have everything. Eleanor, this is elder abuse. This is fraud, and I know exactly how to stop it. I turned to Sarah. I need you to do something for me, and I need you to trust me completely. Over the next hour, I explained my plan. Sarah made some calls, Patricia made others, and I, for the first time in months, felt like myself again. When I got home that evening, Madison was waiting in the living room with Chase. They both looked furious. Grandma, where have you been? Chase said you left with some strange woman. We were worried sick. I had a doctor's appointment. What doctor? Why didn't you tell me? I should have been there. Madison's voice was high, panicked. I'm 67 years old, Madison. I don't need permission to see my doctor. Her face flushed. Grandma, you're not thinking clearly. This is exactly what I've been worried about. Maybe we need to have that conversation with Dr. Morrison about your competency. There it was, the endgame. Actually, I said calmly, sitting down in my favorite chair, I think we need to have a different conversation about why you've been stealing from me. The room went silent. Madison's face went white, then red. I have no idea what you're talking about. $50,000, Madison, transferred out of my accounts over the past 6 weeks. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Chase stood up. Maybe we should go. Sit down, Chase. You're part of this too. I pulled out my phone. I went to the bank today. Funny thing, they have security footage of someone pretending to be me, signing documents I never authorized. Someone who looks a lot like me but uses her left hand instead of her right. Madison's hands were shaking now. Grandma, you're confused. You're having another one of your episodes. No, dear. I'm not confused. I'm perfectly clear. I also found the forged power of attorney in my safe deposit box, the one you plan to use to have me declared incompetent. I'm curious. Who did you pay to impersonate me at the bank? An actress friend? Someone from your theater class? You're insane, Madison spat, all pretense of sweetness gone. You're a confused old woman who can't even remember what day it is. No one will believe you. You're right about one thing. I did have some medical issues after my stroke. So before I went to the police, I went to see Dr. Morrison. You remember her? The neurologist you keep threatening to call? She ran a full cognitive evaluation on me this afternoon. Turns out my brain is functioning perfectly. She was quite surprised to hear you'd been telling people I had memory problems. Chase grabbed Madison's arm. We need to leave. Now. "You're not going anywhere," said a voice from the doorway. Detective James Warren stepped into the room, followed by another officer. "Madison Fletcher and Chase Brennan, you're under arrest for elder abuse, financial exploitation, and fraud." Madison's face crumpled. "Grandma, please. I was going to pay you back. Chase and I just needed a little money to start our business. We were going to give you everything back, I swear. By having me declared incompetent? By forging my signature? By isolating me from everyone who cared about me?" I shook my head. "Madison, I loved you. I trusted you. I would have helped you if you'd just asked." "Your mother would have said no," she said bitterly. "She controls everything. The trust fund, the college money. You were the only one who ever really saw me. So you decided to destroy me instead?" The officers led them away in handcuffs. After they were gone, I sat in my chair, suddenly exhausted. Patricia came in from the kitchen where she'd been waiting during the confrontation. "Are you okay?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "Patricia, who left me that note? Who warned me?" She smiled. "I was wondering when you'd ask. It was your neighbor, Mrs. Chen, from across the street. She's not actually related to me, despite the last name. She saw Chase and Madison going through your mail one night and thought something was off. She didn't know who to tell, so she left you an anonymous note. I need to thank her." "You will. But right now, you need to rest." But I couldn't rest. Over the next few days, the full extent of Madison's scheme became clear. She'd been planning this for over a year, ever since she'd dropped out of college and needed money. Chase had a gambling debt, and they'd seen me as an easy target, an elderly woman living alone. They'd researched elder abuse cases, studied how to forge documents, found someone to impersonate me at the bank. The stroke had been their opportunity. They'd used it to isolate me, to make me doubt myself, to build a narrative of incompetence they could use if I ever caught on. The saddest part was finding texts between Madison and her mother. Jennifer had no idea what her daughter was doing. She'd been worried about me too, but Madison had intercepted her calls, her messages, making excuses why I couldn't talk. When Jennifer flew in from Seattle, she could barely speak through her tears. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have known. I should have visited more. You have a life in Seattle, sweetheart. I never wanted to be a burden." "You're not a burden. You're my mother. And Madison, she's my daughter." But what she did, Jennifer broke down completely. I held her while she cried. My daughter, my granddaughter, my family, broken by greed and betrayal. The trial took months. Madison and Chase both pleaded guilty in exchange for lighter sentences. 3 years for Madison, 5 for Chase. The money was mostly recovered, though some had been gambled away or spent on a lifestyle they couldn't afford. I got my life back. Patricia and I reconnected fully. Mrs. Chen became a dear friend. I returned to volunteering at the school library, something Madison had stopped me from doing, claiming I was too fragile. But the hardest part was forgiving. Not Madison, not yet, maybe not ever, but forgiving myself for not seeing it sooner, for doubting my own mind, for being vulnerable. One afternoon, about 6 months after the arrest, I received a letter from Madison. It was postmarked from the county jail. "Dear Grandma Eleanor, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I can forgive myself. But I need you to know that everything I did, every lie I told, it changed me. I thought I was just borrowing money, that I'd pay you back and you'd never know. But it became easier and easier to lie, to manipulate, to justify hurting you. By the end, I'd convinced myself you deserved it for being old, for being in my way, for having what I wanted. I became someone I don't recognize. Mom visits me every week. She's the only one who hasn't given up on me. She tells me that you ask about me, that you want to know if I'm okay. I don't understand why you'd care. But if you do, if there's any small part of you that still loves the granddaughter I used to be, then maybe someday, when I get out, you could help me become that person again. I know I don't deserve it. Love, Madison." I read the letter 3 times. Then I picked up my pen and wrote back. Because that's what Eleanor Fletcher does. I taught middle school for 40 years. I know that people make mistakes. I know that young people can lose their way. I know that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and setting boundaries doesn't mean abandoning someone completely. I wrote, "Dear Madison, you're right. I don't forgive you yet, but I love you. And when you get out, if you've truly changed, we'll talk. Until then, I'm sending you books. Real ones, not the fake ones I hide keys in. Read them, learn from them, and become the woman I always believed you could be. Grandma Eleanor." I sealed the letter and walked to the mailbox myself. No one to drive me, no one to check my mail, no one to tell me I was having a foggy day. Just me, Eleanor Fletcher, survivor, walking in the sunshine of a beautiful afternoon. And as I dropped that letter in the mailbox, I thought about everyone out there who might be in the same situation I was, who might be doubting themselves, wondering if they're imagining things, afraid to speak up because the person hurting them is family. So I'll say this clearly: trust your instincts. Keep your own records. Maintain your own friendships. Never give anyone complete control over your finances, no matter how much you love them. And if something feels wrong, it probably is. You are not too old to fight back. You are not too confused to know your own mind. You are not a burden for needing help, but you are also not helpless. I learned that lesson the hard way, but I learned it. And now, at 67 years old, I'm finally free.